one of the main factors that affects students' abilities to embrace the liberal arts education is the fear that there isn't enough time for everything. So students often feel very anxious and stressed about getting all the requirements done so that they can graduate on time. Since we know this is a reality for you, it only makes sense that for you to feel more secure in exploring, that you need to know if there's room for everything you want to do. So the first step to feeling secure in your plan is to map out all the requirements for graduation. So let's walk through a method for academic planning that advisors have found successful in alleviating stress, and a method that encourages students to explore electives. The first step in making your academic plan should focus on creating a plan to fulfill the core requirements. You may have AP credits that count for the core, but total number of credits needed is 15. So when you're mapping courses out, we always want to reference the college catalog because we want to focus on prerequisites and confirming courses of interest are offered in the quarter that we're planning to. So we can see here that Physical Science 108, Earth is a Planet, is scheduled to be offered in the autumn, so I can plan to take it then. We can also see that GNSE 15003 requires 15002 as a prereq, so I must take them in sequence. Once I have my core mapped out, then I can move on to mapping out my major. So using the econ major as an example, we can see that the major consists of 13 courses. So to find what is required of my major, I would review the summary of requirements in the catalog, and that's the screenshot that we have on the right-hand side, pretty tiny font, but this is a screenshot of that summary table from the econ business track major, and we can see that it has a lot of possible course options. But some majors in the catalog provide recommended plans for when to take certain courses, but those plans typically do not incorporate the staging of core, and not everyone will start from the same entry point. So when I'm plotting these major requirements, I'm reviewing the catalog again to know any prereqs for all the required classes. We can see here on the screenshots on the left that Econ 100 does not have any prerequisites, so I can take that class whenever. Whereas Econ 130, Intro to Money and Banking, requires Econ 102 as a prereq, so I can't take Econ 130 until I complete Econ 102. This is one very important piece you need to pay attention to when making your plan of study. As we mentioned previously, the other important factor when planning is looking to see when the courses will be offered. We can see that Econ 100 is offered every quarter, whereas Econ 130 is only offered in autumn and winter, so I should not plan to take that in the spring. Now looking at our plan, we have core and major requirements mapped out, and we can now visually see that everything fits and there is room to explore. Many times when I'm using this method with my advisees, they will look at their plan once we've mapped out core and major, and they'll say, that's it, that's not as bad as I thought. So what are we supposed to do with all of the openings? That's where the general electives come in. So if the core is 15 credits and the econ major is 13, and I also have 0 credits from AP or IB tests, then that equals 28 credits. So that means I have room for at least 14 general electives. This is why some students may consider adding a minor or a double major, which can sometimes make the plan very tightly packed. Other students may enjoy the flexibility of only pursuing one major because it grants you the freedom to explore and take any class you want in those openings. To get to the minimum 42 credits, we typically need 6 quarters of 3 classes and 6 quarters of 4. So we can see here in this example that there's 6 of 4 and 6 of 3. So students are welcome to take more than the 42, and a lot do, but all those open spots could be filled if you wanted, but it's not required. So by building this preliminary plan, it can help you feel more confident and secure in your plan to take general electives and explore your interests outside of your major. So if this is my plan, and I'm hoping to start to explore my major interest in the spring with Econ 100, we can see in that top spring box. If I don't get in, I should think about other classes that might interest me as backups. So where do I start? How do I decide what I should take as an elective next quarter, or what sounds interesting to me? Start by thinking about some of the questions listed here. What are some of my interests outside of my major? In what ways do you hope to grow? And what do you want your life to be about? How can the electives you take help you grow? You might not know the answer to these questions yet, but these questions are something to think about because these are the questions that drive inquiry at UChicago. You can become very knowledgeable about your field of study, but you can also learn a great deal outside your major. The fun part is discovering how they interconnect. So continuing with my econ example, I'm thinking about my interest outside of econ or outside of business or finance. And I've always been fascinated by the criminal justice system. So I could see if there's a course related to this. I also know that based on the requirements for the econ business track major, I do not have to take any classes about political economy or the history of labor or the sociology of work. So these are topics I could look for to complement my understanding of econ. So why is it so hard to explore? As advisors, we often see these things come up in our meetings with students. Students tend to be nervous about taking an elective course because it may impact their GPA if they get a bad grade. While this is understandable, often students are unfamiliar with how the grade will impact their overall GPA. If you have never used a GPA calculator before, I highly encourage it because you may be shocked to see how your predicted grades may or may not affect your GPA. Also, if you believe you are en route to earning a lower grade, you may take an elective as pass-fail. While core and major requirements expect you to earn a quality grade, you do have this possibility for elective courses. Career Advancement has some helpful info about pass-fail considerations, and we will have that link included in our resource handout after the presentation. The next three reasons are related, but often students are worried about trying something new. It can be scary to jump into the unknown, but that is what college is for. So this is the time in your life where you can try new things and embrace the unknown. When else will you be able to learn from leading scholars about their amazing work? There is also nervousness around the perceived difficulty of a course. Word spreads fast around campus, and you all talk to each other about classes, but easy for you is not easy for everyone, and something that was challenging for you may not be challenging for your friend. Sometimes people enroll in an easy course, but they get so bored with the work that they end up doing poorly because they do not want to do the readings or the assignments. So consider what will keep you motivated. You will find the most enjoyment out of a class that you are interested in learning about rather than taking it because it's easy. And finally, balancing the workload of an elective on top of major and core classes can be a concern. Every quarter, you should be thinking about balance, but there are ways to find some of that info ahead of time so that you can prepare, such as reviewing the course feedback to see what students have said in the past.